Before US presidential elections, candidates often spar over China. We remember, for example, Bill Clinton talking of the butchers of Beijing. So I wouldn't read too much into the rhetoric that we're hearing at the moment, because while politicians are often quite negative on China, the trade relationship, obviously, particularly China's exports to the US, have only grown and continue to grow. However, I think it's important to bear in mind the macro situation in the US at the moment. We've got unemployment extremely high. We still have a big US trade deficit. It's not as big as it was, but it's still pretty big. And in those circumstances, if other policy measures don't get traction on the US economy, then it might become more attractive for the government to think of using trade policy to try and generate a bit more demand and generate a few more jobs.
What kind of relationship do you think will China and the US have if Mitt Romney becomes the president? Because he wants to basically call the Chinese manipulators of their currency.
Yeah, he's pledged on day one to label China a currency manipulator. Now, that sounds like a big deal. No one has been labelled a currency manipulator by the US government since 1994. Back then it was China as well. So it would be quite a big shift. In practice, though, it doesn't make a great deal of difference. Under US law, this tag of currency manipulator just means that the US Treasury then has to open negotiations with that country on their currency policy. And of course, the US Treasury has regular negotiations with China over the renminbi anyway.
We've seen the economy continuing to fall at about 7.6% in the last quarter. Manufacturing, consumer sentiment, investments continue to be a drag. Will this lead to a hard landing in the Chinese economy by year's end, or as we head into 2013?
Although growth has slowed pretty dramatically, the Chinese economy does not appear to be under great strains at the moment. For example, wage growth is still very strong. There aren't many signs that unemployment is going up. So I'm not sure, really, that policymakers should be too concerned about this. And if you step back and compare China with other fast-growing Asian economies, if it's growing at 7% now, given its income level, that's actually not too bad. I think it may simply be that markets, investors, have got used to the idea that China grows at 9 or 10% and are struggling to adapt to the new reality that it doesn't do that anymore.